Welcome everybody to our presentation today. I'm so very excited to be here with four amazing business owners who are making it happen during the pandemic. Really, the stars of the show are our entrepreneurs today. But a little bit about CWE, the Center for Women in Enterprise. We are an SBA-funded not-for-profit that works primarily, although not exclusively, with women business owners. We work with people from the germ of an idea through an exit plan to start and successfully sustain and eventually exit their businesses. We do this through presentations like what we're having today, as well as one-on-one consults, networking opportunities, and a yearly conference called the Women Business Leadership Conference, which happens in the fall. The beauty of this is that almost everything we offer is 100% free of charge. These are your tax dollars at work. Please take advantage. Feel free to call on us. I know Jane is going to put our contact info in the chat, and I'd love to talk business with you anytime. The other thing that I want to talk about is how excited I am about working with my friends over at the MSBDC. This is particularly meaningful to me because Keith Gerard was my business mentor when I opened my restaurant many, many years ago in Berkshire County. And I am just so thrilled and honored and tickled to be collaborating with Keith and Jane and Mark from the MSBDC on this venture. And also for all of you, don't feel, if you want to talk to a business advisor, that if you're talking to Dawn at the Center for Women in Enterprise, you'd be cheating on me if you then wanted to go and talk with Keith or Jane over at MSBDC. It doesn't work that way. This is a collaborative effort to help all of you business owners get set up for success. Without further ado, I am now going to introduce to you our first presenter, Hannah Satsumi. Hannah owns Northampton Lashes in Northampton. I'm from Northampton, so love supporting our Northampton businesses. But she opened Northampton Lashes in March 2020, so smack in the middle of this pandemic. Hannah is super cool. She actually earned her BA in sculpture with a focus in metal art and created all these giant sculptures, like the types of things that you see at Chesterwood. And then she worked at Polish Talix, which is an internationally famous award-winning art foundry in New York. She then went from massive metal sculptures and Googles and welding to cosmetics. She worked for 6 years at MAC Cosmetics, and she discovered there a passion for using her artistic knowledge of colors and contrast to accentuate, complement, and enhance people's existing features. And Hannah and I have had many fascinating conversations about the intersectionality between metal sculpting and makeup. And she'll probably talk to us a little bit more about that today. She ended up becoming licensed in aesthetics and then became introduced to the wonderful world of lash extensions, which then led to her opening the studio in Northampton. Hannah's passion is creating beautiful lashes to enhance her client's appearance, and she is equally enthusiastic about teaching proper care of the eye area and general wellness that you need to consider if you want to enhance your lashes. Her mission is to create beautiful lashes, give her clients confidence about their appearance, and keep their lashes growing healthy throughout the process. Hannah, take it away.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you about my business and why I decided to open during this odd time during COVID. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always loved quality control. I loved being in charge of my clients' experiences from the moment they walk through the door. I'm a trained esthetician, makeup artist, and lash tech with a background in art, as you said. And I wanted to create a business that focused around lashes specifically because I really wanted to give clients that experience when they wake up in the morning to not feel the need to put on makeup to feel confident. And that's what my lash services do for a lot of my clients. So when shutdown happened, I decided to open during COVID because I had a lot of time to think about how the beauty industry was being affected. And these new regulations that were being put in place to make people feel safe while they were still wanting to do services that were self-care. So it was really important, I knew, for people to feel like they could come into a salon and relax and not have to worry about being sick or getting sick, because that's such a huge part of relaxing, is not worrying about anything. So I wanted to open during COVID because I saw a need in this opportunity to build a studio around those regulations. My studio is small and it's one person only at a time. So you never see anybody but me, like during the process. And you know that everything is clean. You can see everything clearly getting sanitized. There's great air circulation. And yeah, so it was just, I saw a lot of opportunity with what the new need was during this time. And yeah, so I saw that there were like opportunities as well to reach people through social media. Because everybody was online during this time. So I feel like the reach was great. People really wanted to find these normal services, that was part of like their normal routine before a shutdown happened, but they just wanted to experience those same things but safely. And so I saw a lot of positive opportunities because of the times. Yeah.
Well, Hannah, there's a few questions that are popping up for you in the chat. How did you reach your audience? One Cheryl asked.
My audience, so my clients, a lot of them I reach through social media platforms, I've noticed. And that is just constantly posting and coming up with content that is appealing for people who are potentially interested in the services. So instead of I don't really do a ton of lifestyle. So going into my personal life, it's more the results of what you can get during my services, what my different services are, and educating people about that.
That's awesome. Boy, they're coming in fast and furious for you. It says, Hannah, you're awesome. How did you balance startup with paying your bills?
Oh, that's a really awesome question, actually, because I don't recommend this at all. This is actually something I would do differently. If you're starting a business, I would definitely look into taking out a loan. I put everything on personal credit cards, and I know that my accountant and I would prefer me to do that differently, because it would definitely be more organized, and it'll be something that I definitely will be exploring in the future.
This is because Hannah hadn't seen any business advisor at CWE or MSBDC prior to launching, because we never would have let you do that. Shut up now.
Exactly. I really wish, yeah, I knew, and that would be a great resource for people who are hoping to start a business.
Okay, just one more quick question. How large is your client base, and is your business successful and growing?
It's constantly growing. My client base has grown huge. I'm open 7 days a week, and I'm open 12 hours a day, and I've been like booked solid pretty much every day. So my clients are new, and like everybody's new, but I think that a lot of new clients came from just earning a reputation of being so conscious about the regulations and having a safe space for people to come and relax.
So I just want to interject and point out some things that Hannah was saying. Hannah was saying some buzzwords that I think are really important for anybody considering opening a business today. Hannah really talked a lot about safety and making clients feel less nervous about entering her space during COVID. She talked about, visible safety type of procedures, as well as the way she would use social media to emphasize this. I think it's critically important now, and I am predicting that even now that we're segging into that nebulous between COVID and normal period called 2021, I think that people are going to be extremely conscious about safety for a long time to come. So I would encourage everybody to put any safety type of mechanisms that you use front and center in your business. And also, Hannah, you mentioned social media. Were there any particular platforms that you found really helpful?
Instagram is definitely my #1 draw on social media. I do have an Instagram. I'm looking at starting a YouTube channel just for basic information to give my clients, as far as giving them digital like access to aftercare instructions. But Instagram, as far as marketing goes, has been my #1 platform.
So really good to know. And what is the general age demographic of your client?
I would say anywhere from late 20s to early 60s.
Okay, so business people, bear that in mind. We've got lots more questions, but we'll get to those after the presentation. Keep those questions coming. I'm glad nobody's shy here, yay. I'm now going to turn to our next presenters, Ximena Samarone and Will Sewers. And I got to say, these are a couple who have also from Northampton, go Northampton, go Northampton. They have not only defied the odds and opened a food service business of all things during COVID, but they did it as a couple. I mean, come on, guys. This is, unheard of. Little bit about them. Ximena is originally from Austin, Texas, but she's lived most of her life in Mexico. She has a degree in theater from a Mexican university and also trained in Paris as a mime and a movement artist for 2 years. She also studied architecture. And then just because her experience wasn't eclectic enough, she decided to move to Northampton and become part owner and head baker and kitchen lead at Iconica Social Club. Will is a Massachusetts native, also a professional actor and trained mime. Northampton High School class of 2012, go Northampton High. Like many actors and people who have trained in circus arts, he worked as a server and host in tons and tons of restaurants in both Massachusetts and New York City. And in part, it was thanks to these jobs that he was able to fulfill his dream to study in the theater and movement school of Jacques Lecoq in Paris, France. In July 2020, again, smack in the middle of the pandemic, Will and Ximena decided it would be a fantastic idea to take over ownership of the Iconica Social Club and run a food service business. And they did this under the tutelage and mentorship of the previous owners, Em and Fitz, who are also highly creative people with various skills and ability, completely unrelated to running a cafe business. And I got to say, for me, the week is not complete unless it's an Iconica week. I am there every single weekend. Got to have Ximena's sun-dried tomato feta biscuits with absolutely anything on it, including glue. They are that good. Take it away, Ximena and Will.
Hi. Well, as Don said, I'm Ximena. This is Will.
Hello. Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you so much, Don. It's really nice to hear that, and we're very excited to be sharing our experience, because it's very true that it's just such a crazy wild ride that this has been. I mean, right in the middle of the pandemic, we were working at a restaurant, and we kind of like, I mean, we're actors. We were here to be actors. We were actually on our way to move to New York when the pandemic hit, and we realized that theater was just going to be one of the last things to come back to normality. I mean, it is absolutely not like an essential need. Like nobody, I mean, we think it is, but like it's not the supermarket, you know. It's not like it was crazy. So we realized that it was going to be difficult for us to go back to that life of being creative, being on stage, and so we decided that we wanted to put our creative endeavors into something. And through a little bit of a coincidence and crazy things of life, we met Em and Fitz, and we actually realized that they had a business, a social club that already had a baseline for creative things. I mean, they had live events, they had live music, and we just thought that creating that was going to give us an outlet for all the things that they were going to take a while to come back.
Yeah, and we looked at the world and we said, whoa, there's going to be a lot of difficulties, obviously, and there's people who walk into the cafe and they say, are you guys crazy? Why would you do this right now? Especially, like as Dawn said, food service, what? But within that, like we've tried to stay connected to that desire to have the creative outlet, and then try to like pay attention to what the landscape is, and find a way to still play the food service game. So like, for instance, a huge difficulty is that people obviously aren't really going out as much, but then also they're not really traveling, which means they are around. And so we were trying to be creative and think like, how can we kind of build upon that and use that kind of negative thing as an opportunity for a creative idea. And so we started this program called Dinner Specials from Around the World, because we got a sense that, okay, most people aren't traveling, people are in their homes, they're eating a lot of the same food, either cooked by them or cooked by the same restaurants. So what if we try to take people on these journeys? We've gone to Ethiopia. We've done Russian dinner night was our most recent one. And it's been really cool because we've been selling out doing these like dinner specials where we're making Russian tea cakes and we're making borscht, and we're trying to give somebody an experience, even though like we can't give them that theatrical experience. We're trying to find ways to just use the landscape the way it is to still bring someone place to another place, bring someone to another world.
Yeah, and that's something that, I mean, we're very hopeful about the future. We have a really big space outside. We actually took over 4 parking spots on the parking lot on Masonic. Is it called Masonic parking lot?
Yeah.
So we're actually very, very optimistic about people being able to have live events outside, to have theater performances outside. I mean, we think that is something that as soon as people aren't freezing their toes off waiting outside, those are the things we want to bring back, because we want to bring people that experience, again, of feeling the same thing that Hannah said. I mean, we want people to have a sense of things being normal in some sense, having a time to relax, having a new experience, listening to live music.
Yeah. And I think something that we've learned on this little journey that we've been on is like, very early on, we had a mentor tell us that it was really important to remember why you're doing this. And it's kind of one of those, like, I don't want to say corny, but one of those things that you just assume will be on some sort of business conference worksheet thing that's like, why do you want to do this? So it almost gets ignored in a sense because it seems too obvious. But for us, it was like during this winter when there were really just physically just cold days, days when you're like, I don't know why anybody would go out even if there was no COVID. You know, the only thing that brought us through was remembering why we were doing this and remembering that it was about the creative outlet and remembering that that's what we had to bring to it to get something fulfilling out of it. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we get reminded whenever somebody is like, oh, I had an experience that, I mean, we've had many people come back and be like, oh, I haven't been out to a restaurant or to a cafe in 6 months. And then I had like a latte and a cupcake and it was just amazing, you know, and it's just a little bit of normality to your life.
Something I just want to emphasize before Jane talks about the slew of questions that we have for you and compliments. First of all, I'm kind of laughing because one of the attendees was saying, but I live right near here and I don't know where you are. What's your tagline again?
Yeah,
we say hard to define and find because
but it's so worth it. So
you know, I was thinking of a new tagline was hidden gems are meant to be found.
I love it. But one of the things I just wanted to kind of draw out that you were discussing is the importance of mentorship to anyone thinking of going into the business. I think COVID has been a really isolating experience for all of us. And it's important to remember you're not alone. There are people out there who are willing to help you if you'll reach out. And it really is important to reach out and get that help. And I'm so thrilled that you had mentors that you felt comfortable going to. Jane, did you want to read the Q&A or did you want to wait until the end at this point?
I'll just mention a couple of things so that we can just keep going with it. But people had questions about Spot On for your ordering. So I gave them some information on that. And then just compliment after compliment. You guys are amazing. It sounds amazing. I love what you're both doing. Amazing. I love the ideas you have for giving people experiences. And one other just question is it takeout only or do you have some eat-in?
We have a limited dine-in. We have some space in our what we call our gallery. We actually even have art for display and we get local artists to be there. And we also have a library space where you can just sit down and read a book. We get everyone really distanced and
I mean, you know, the Northampton, I have to say the health department came to visit us as one would hope they would. And we had like, you know, you have a conference basically where you walk around and you check everything out. And it was a decision that a lot of people, even though, you know, within the restrictions, people are allowed to be open, you know, we really struggled with it because most places in Northampton are closed either for, you know, a number of months. Most are closed till April. So it was a decision that we thought a lot about, even though we technically can be, do we want to take that risk? And kind of like, it's a little bit exhausting to put the work into constantly making sure everything's clean and you know, especially when you have two people pretty much doing all of the work, it was like, we knew it would be a little bit of a sacrifice. But we also like what Hannah was saying about normalcy, like, to give people a sense that there is a place where they can come, even if they're like many feet away from anybody else, like if they can come and sit down and drink a coffee and feel like the world will be there again. That's really been important to try to give people that experience. So we have been open for dine-in and takeout.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. I think we can move on now to the Berkshire small businesses. Keith, take it away.
Hi, everybody. It's great to meet you virtually here. One of the themes I'm picking up is the importance of experience. I mean, typically in normal situations, experience is a distinguishing characteristic. What I'm picking up here is that it's even more so here with the pandemic and the period that we're living in. And the opportunity to bring creativity and innovation and uniqueness to that experience, whatever it is the aspect of that you're selling, either a service or a product. So anyway, that's one of the things I'm picking up. Just formally, I'm Keith Gerard, and I am the Berkshire Regional Director for the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center Network. And we're located in Pittsfield. We are for those people who don't know us, we are a program out of the Eisenberg School of Management at the University of Massachusetts. And we have collectively worked with probably over 1,500 small business owners and entrepreneurs over the last, say, several years. So the way we kind of sometimes like to think about it is that we can bring university quality thought and mix in street level business smarts and experiences to the businesses and owners that we work with. So best of all, like Dawn's program, our services are free and confidential. And we too are very excited to be part of hopefully another body of experience that you're having, and hopefully it's somewhat creative. So we're very excited to be working with the Center for Women in Enterprise. This is our first actual coordinated event with them, and especially excited working with you, Dawn, who you bring an enthusiasm and an intelligence to everything you do. And so it's very, very exciting to do that. And, you know, it forces us to up our game as well. So thanks for doing that. In addition to myself, you've already met Jane Ballura. Jane is our client services coordinator, and there she is, and she's often the first point of contact for us. And as you probably can tell, she is managing the chat window as well as the questions for us, and she will be part of facilitating the questions towards the end of the program. And then Mark Ballura, Mark Avnet, who you have met a little while ago. Mark is a senior business advisor, brings a great amount of experience. We're very excited to have him. He is facilitating the technology in the background, so he's making us all look good and be smart and help things flow along. So thank you, Mark, for doing that. Okay, so let me introduce our next presenter. We have the privilege of having Tammy Syme of Tech Staffing Services, LLC. And she talks about the pandemic was a time for straight up truth and not to get wrapped up with emotion. She suggests follow your heart, follow your dream, and take your head along with you. Her business is located in the Berkshire Innovation Center in Pittsfield, and Tech Staffing Service LLC provides qualified talent to businesses on a temporary, temp to permanent basis and a permanent basis. So welcome, Tammy. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. And I guess I just want to start out with, I started this business in December, but it was a lifelong dream to own my own business, just like I'm sure everybody on this panel was their dream. I think for me, I'm a very conservative person, and there's never a good time for change, but then again, there's always a good time for change. So for me, I tend to follow like a very structured path. I like to have all of my ducks in a row and have all my details, in line and my I's dotted and my T's crossed. So for me, I did not enter into this lightly. And, when Keith mentioned that comment about me, that is kind of my catchphrase where, it's like, follow your dreams, but take your brain with you. I think everybody has a dream to go, work for themselves and live their dream. But I think you really, for me personally anyways, it needs to be well thought out and well structured. And there's always some risk involved in it. But, I wouldn't have done this if I didn't have, a background in it. So for me personally, I have worked in the staffing industry for 20 years. I was the CFO of a local staffing company, and I managed the business from, the ground up. And prior to that, I worked at GE Plastics for 7 years in various finance roles. And I went through their financial management training program. So, just from my background, you can see I'm pretty structured. I don't really, move around a lot. I'm not a mover and a shaker, but there comes a point in time in life where you say, okay, where am I at and what am I doing? So for me, where I was working, I had always had a dream to possibly take over the business that I was the CFO of. And that was actually a potential opportunity for me. Over the years, it had been presented, it was a possibility. But in 2020, when the pandemic hit, the family-run business did a succession plan for themselves. And the plan ended up not being in line with my career goals. So it really forced me to take a hard look at, what can I do and where can I go? And for me, I am well-versed in, staffing, but also in, how a business runs and the mechanics of it, from, the financial piece of it to the service piece of it. But I had really no idea how I was going to do this on my own. So, I really have to give a shout out to Keith and Mark at MSBDC, because without them, I really wouldn't be here today. And I think that's what I really want to talk to everybody about, is not so much what my services are, but really, how do you get here? How do you start your own business? And for me, I reached out to some of my friends and some of my business colleagues and, talked to them about what I wanted to do. And right out of the gate, one of my friends who was in banking put me in touch with Keith and said, you really have to start here. If you want any type of funding through a bank, you have to go through the process and make sure that you have a solid plan, because no bank wants to lend any money during a pandemic. It's just not going to happen. So, without that piece of it, I didn't have, a ton of money saved to be able to go and do this. And, like Hannah, I too was like, okay, can I start this with my credit cards? And I thought, yes, I can, but, in about a month or two, if my plans, hand out the way that I thought they would, I would be out of money, because you have to outlay a lot of cash up front. And then, it's kind of a little bit smooth sailing thereafter. So, getting the direction and guidance from Keith, Mark, and even Jane, she was a huge help to help me develop a business plan and to guide me in the right direction. They actually provide a tremendous service. I mean, they don't just guide you on the financial statements that you should draw up and who you should contact, but they actually provide feedback, and they coach you in your presentation. And how are you going to talk to a bank? And how are you going to set yourself up so that you are different from your competition? Or how do you present yourself that they really buy into what you want to do? So as much as it is important that the numbers are there in your business plan to obtain the financing from a bank, you really need to know how to present yourself in a way that a bank buys into your plan and will fund, the monies that you need. So given all of that, I had a very successful meeting with a couple of banks, and one bank, believed in my plan so much that they literally gave me everything that I had asked for. And I'm about 2 months into my operation right now, and I am on track with everything that I said would happen is either in line with the plan or a little bit better. So again, I give credit to that for my start with, the team that's presenting this opportunity for everybody to listen in today. So anybody who's out there looking to start a business, I do think that, you can do it whatever way is comfortable for you, but I strongly recommend that you really try and take the approach of crossing all of your T's and dotting your I's and starting with the MSBDC and make sure you have the right people on your side. And that leads me into my next point, is that, honestly, how I got here is, a lot to do, obviously, with having the skills and knowing my industry. But the other piece of it is the connections that you make with your network and having great mentors and a little bit of luck. So, all of that is important. And from a mentor standpoint, I think that you always should be aligning yourself with people that can help get you to the next level, or that you can help them get to the next level, because you can always, share best practices with each other and bounce ideas off of each other and learn from each other. But for me, I did get a lot of advice from my business colleagues. So I tried to align myself with people that were smarter than me, or that were well-versed in a different industry than I was, so that they could give me feedback on how I could tailor that to my own business and, propel me forward in that way. So again, the network is just for me, it's how I got here. You know, like we're all smart people. We all can get to where we're going, but you can't forget that it takes a team of people to help get you where you are. And that's in the mentors that you choose and a little bit of luck. You know, and with that, with my plan, one of the things that I, you know, learned over my career is that, you know, you're not always going to be the favorite. You know, people will, you know, it will come in peaks and valleys with, you know, your service, or, you know, if you're the, you know, the talk of the town with your business or not. So you always have to be preparing for the next phase, you know, like what happens when I'm not at the top, or what happens when I rise to the top. So for me, in part of my business plan, I looked at, you know, how do I help my community get to the next place in Berkshire County? So with that, you know, we have a lot of young talent in the area, but it's untapped talent. And for me, I didn't really know how to reach out and figure out, how do I get, you know, the 18 to 20-year-old population interested in coming to, you know, apply with me so I could help find them a job, or what do they have to offer the community that would be beneficial to other local businesses? So what I came up with was developing an internship program, which has single-handedly given me more press than, you know, me, myself, and my own business. So with my program, I have a 17-year-old daughter who is a senior in high school, and her group of friends are, you know, really smart kids. They come from diverse backgrounds. Some of them are in college and some of them are headed into college. But, you know, for me, I was able to bring on a good team of young interns that I call my tech new gens, and new gens is the new generation. They just think differently than I think. And they have different ways to connect to the population of 18 to 20-year-old people that I just can't tap into. So I brought them on board. You know, my big pitch to them is I'm going to teach them, how to run a business from the ground up. So, and I'm going to pay them to do that. And it's only a few hours a week. And sometimes it's 0 hours a week, but for them, they're learning how to run a business, and they're doing all of my social media posting and sharing with their friends, who are sharing with their friends and their friends and their friends. And we have this huge following now, and kids all in the area want to know how they can become, you know, a tech new gen, and is there another spot open for them? So for me, I found this little niche that I knew was going to be beneficial, but I didn't really know until I kind of got involved in doing it. But, you know, just last week, I'll give you my quick success story and then I'll, you know, end it there. But we had a client, a ski resort, who contacted us on a Thursday and said, hey, you know, I'm reaching out to you. I hear, you know, you're a pretty new agency in town, and we are short staffed next week at the ski resort. And we need, you know, 5 people, 5 days a week to do various jobs, whether it be managing the lodge, making sure everybody's wearing their face mask, not operating the chairlift, but manning the chairlift to make sure that the safety protocols are being taken. And so it was an opportunity to staff anywhere from 5 to 10 people for the week, which ended up in about 216 hours of billing for me. So I immediately reached out to my new gens in a group text, and I said, guys, listen, here's the opportunity. I need you to reach out to your network, and I need you to come back and present me with some candidates. And within 2 hours, we had all of the jobs filled. Every kid showed up for their shift. Some of them worked 3 days, some worked 4, and 3 of them actually went and worked 5 days a week. And it was just a huge success all around for me as a business owner, for me as a mentor to these kids. Like I felt like I, you know, checked off the, you know, the pay it forward box with mentoring, just as, you know, people have done for me. And my kids are just like so motivated now to, you know, keep working with me, keep working harder, keep, you know, networking and marketing and understanding how they truly do impact the outcome. And maybe now they'll have a different outlook for themselves as they venture off into college and maybe think about, you know, if they want to start their own business, or how they can mentor their peers or other people in the community. So that's my story.
Well, great, Tammy. Thank you so much. There's a lot that you said there. Personally, I was very happy that you gave voice to the money part of it. That often is something that we find in working with business owners and entrepreneurs, that they're very anxious about that, and it's there's usually some things that get in the way initially. So thank you for giving voice to that. appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So moving on to our last and next entrepreneur. At the end of 2019, Black Ice LLC had an abundance of opportunity and a dearth of capacity. Several months later, when the pandemic hit, the company made a bold move to recommit to growth and to focus on the long-term prospects. Black Ice is an innovation-driven company that leads a team of strategists, designers, and engineers to develop mobile and web applications, simulation systems, media content, and programs to meet the complex technical and business objectives. Welcome, John Whalen and Stephanie Hill Manuel.
Well, thanks, Keith. And it's really exciting to be part of this and to hear everybody else's stories, and especially so much about new businesses and folks venturing in. And the other thing I have to say is that I've been here in Berkshire County for a very long time, since I turned 21, and it's always been a challenge to find development opportunities for younger people. And it's just so delightful to see that each of you has a direct connection to both through your own essence and through the objectives of your business to keep that kind of growth and development going for young people. That's really exciting to see. So I thanks for giving us such a good introduction, Keith, because I want to sort of jump ahead to where Stephanie comes into the story. You know, we're a 25-year-old innovation company that really has a strong background in media development and films and visual effects and all sorts of things so we're a 25-year-old startup in essence all the time. And so having had this sort of objective to invest in our customers' aspirations and having an entity that's really based almost wholly on developing very strong relationships based on very trusted relationships. At one point, it occurred to me that you know, right now we're an innovation tech company that does software development, but we're really a company that sells or provides trust, a high level of trust, and we happen to be doing software and innovative work. We had a plan for a long time for increased development. Partly, I wanted to see some succession plan for a company that at its essence required me in most areas of management. And so Stephanie came on as a financial analyst with me and as a consultant, an outside consultant, and for several years was providing the background and the basically analysis that allowed us to plan for long-term growth based on a desire to be an entity that would you know, far last my own time at the helm here, and it would build its capacity over time. And one thing that I discovered, I think was just referred to, is that the magic that I have is just finding people smarter than me. And although I think that they seem to be everywhere, there's also a character and a values and a trust sort of piece of that, which was really, I was very grateful to find in Stephanie. In 2019, we found that we did have this abundance of opportunity. We had a wonderful trusted relationship with a great subcontractor who's allowed us to grow in the areas of software development and in augmented reality and in artificial intelligence and other areas. But we didn't have the infrastructure, and we made a commitment in 2019 that to close that shortfall in capacity, we needed to build infrastructure. And I'm going to let Stephanie describe this, but basically we had made a direct commitment to that in 2019, and then COVID came, and we had to do something to really recommit to that. And I think with that, Stephanie, I'm going to let you take over because you were the architect.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so as John said, we worked together before the pandemic hit, but it was kind of perfect because when 2020 happened, we were able to use the plan that we had built and, you know, the capital reserve and the working capital to continue on with our plan instead of having to take a hard stop. So we actually hired myself. John stole me away from General Dynamics, which is where I was, and also consulting on the side. And I, you know, joined his team, and we hired, you know, internally as well, and were able to build a team using that, you know, financial stability that we had built up through working together beforehand. And even though there was, the world was changing around us like crazy, we were able to be flexible with, billing our clients. We didn't run at such a stringent capacity that, we needed to make sure our income came in at, the exact timing. We were able to be flexible since everyone coming online and trying to figure out how to run business as normal took a little bit extra time. Even everyone getting their technology set up at home. And, as you see, like kids zooming in the background or stealing all the internet. So we were able to kind of, step into an online presence as well as support our contractors, employees, and clients in an online capacity as well. So we were able to take a little bit of financial risk. I mean, we expected to take some financial risk as we brought on team members. But this, obviously, the pandemic brought in a bigger aspect where we were able to add health insurance to our benefit package that wasn't there before. And so John graciously makes quite a bit of a contribution to the employee health insurance plan, which is very generous for us because, employees, their spouses lost coverage or lost their jobs. And so this was really, really important for everyone to have that safety net during COVID as well as just in general life. But being able to take that extra financial hit as a company because we had prepared in advance for the growth, I think was quite nice. We didn't expand our client base, but we were able to continue working, remotely on time and on budget for our clients and really be there as, whenever they could kind of get back to us for things. We were able to build, a really strong internal team. We're using this time to increase our procedures and our project management so that, as we end into hopefully a little bit more of an expanding year going forwards of 2021, we're able to increase our client base without having to take any extra time. So John, is there anything I didn't hit on that we had talked about?
Well, no, I think you've hit on some of the big points. I think one theme that I might mention as, in line with the theme of today's topic is that, and we're like a longstanding company that was just looking to develop more infrastructure, to develop a stronger internal team to manage expansion over time. COVID was a big disruptor in several ways. And one way that it was a disruptor is that we tend to have, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, closing or opening up and developing our contracts for 2020 with the intention of coming back home, which I did, and going back the following week to close all our contracts. And the biggest entity that we work with is a major research institute in the electric power industry. And they suddenly found that as we did, we were sending people home on March 15th and they were too. We were well suited, I think, with our contractors and our internal team to work remotely and pretty able to be flexible, but our clients were not used to that and they were just dispersed. So on the day that we were sending people home, we instantly knew we need this team of reliable people internally and even our contractors to have the security that we're going to hang in here. So we basically made a commitment. We're good for 2 months. We're gone. We're going to do whatever we have to do. We're going to work closely with our clients. We really didn't know for sure if all those contracts would come through. At the end of the year, we had greater sales, but a much slower pathway to those sales. And so just to say that although it was a big disruptor, I think we still maintained this kind of infinite batch of goals that had to do with our long-term and our tight relationship with our customers, with our contracts and ourselves. We're at the center of why things worked. We cared about our contractors, we cared about our customers' goals, and we were able to be flexible enough. And I think that was a big help. So I think that's one point that I would make. And so, we, in some ways, business is running a business is really problem solving every day. And I think, some of the systems that we have in place help us to do that, I think, with a lot of support and mentorship and that sort of thing. So I'd just say that. I don't know if you have anything else, Stephanie, that you'd like to add?
No, I would just close by saying that, establishing and maintaining trusted relationships with our employees, our contractors, and our clients is what ultimately helped us withstand, this extra extraordinary challenge, you know, so our clients knew that we were going to be there for them. Our employees knew that we were going to be there for them, and our contractors, you know, we were their biggest clients. So knowing that we were able to maintain that as well, you know, so that everybody was as secure as possible during this kind of time of uncertainty, I think was the basis of, you know, what Black Ice really stands for. So
Yeah.
that's all I
And
have.
I would-
Thank you.
The last thing I would add, I know we're a little over that, Keith, you know, your organization and the support of your organization throughout the community, and just keeping us alerted to different not opportunities, but supports that existed in our relationship to our local bank, Lee Bank, those kinds of things. You know, maintaining that, staying with that during good and difficult times is really a wise thing for any business.
Well, thank you, Stephanie and John. And there's a lot to unpack there, and I won't attempt to unpack it. But one of the things that I took away with, and I think was perhaps another theme that's going through it, is the importance of creative problem solving, which plays well into, you know, folks who are creative. Their orientation is creative. And I was also glad to hear, and maybe this is just from my own little windowsill, the importance of money. In this case here, what I heard was working capital and capital reserve. So, you know, we work a lot with entrepreneurs, and our approach is disciplined entrepreneurship. And one component of that disciplined entrepreneurship is money, using money as a tool or many tools. So thank you for doing that. I believe we're now in the portion of the general questions and answers. And Jane, I'm hoping you come back on here, and
I'm here.
okay, good. So
You can't get rid of me that easily.
yeah. Great.
I just want to say one thing. I hope that all the panelists are in the chat room reading the comments and questions that obviously we can't get to every single one, but just lots of encouragement for all of you panelists, business owners. Congratulations on what you're doing. Everyone is so thrilled to see something positive coming out of the pandemic. So hats off to all of you. Just a couple of quick questions for Hannah. Sorry, where did it go? Oh, have you used Google Ads yet?
I have. So I have been experimenting with it, although it hasn't been like my biggest, most like effective way of advertising for me personally.
Okay. And one quick question for Will and Zamina. How do you source artists for arts display? Is there a process?
I just I replied privately, but I mean, so
okay, good.
Yeah, so far no. I mean, there's no process right now. The artist that we have is actually someone who we know, because I mean, right now we're kind of working our way into having a real advertisement and like real. I mean, for now, people who come in are people who already knew about us, and yeah, so that's something.
Oh, that's great. Power of connections for sure. Okay, and just one question. And you guys, all the panelists, you can either jump in or not, but if you could give one piece of advice to business owners or entrepreneurs or anyone who's out there just thinking about starting a business in the pandemic, what would that one bit of advice be? Anybody can jump in.
I would say, do your research. Make sure that what you're offering is actually something that the community is going to buy into, because, you know, you may have a great idea, but if there's no demand for it, you know, you're just not going to get where you need to get to. So just do your research, make sure you have the right team in place to mentor you, and, you know, take it from there. And, you know, it might be the right time now, or maybe you're planning now to do it down the road, but just make sure the research gets done.
That's great advice. And Stephanie put in build strong relationships. I think that is also very key to being successful.
Yeah, I can add a little to that.
That's about it for questions on my end. I'm sorry, go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I have a delay. I was just going to say that, you know, the importance of building the strong relationships is that when, you know, the world is on fire, those are the people that you'll still be able to go to, and they'll be there for you. You can help each other, and you have that personal, strong relationship to build off of. So, even if you can't help each other today, building that relationship for down the road, whether you need them or they need you, is really, important.
Excellent. And Hannah just wrote into find the need and lead with excitement and positivity. I think that's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. I'll turn it back over to Keith.
Okay, so I guess we're kind of pretty much on time here. Dawn, did you want to say final words, wrap up, takeaways?
Unmute myself first. First of all, in addition to thanking each and every one of you for participating and just reiterating how inspired I feel hearing all of your stories and seeing you move into this kind of crazy new reality that we're in with so much, as Hannah was saying, enthusiasm and resilience as well, and passion. Really is heartwarming, and yet you're all remaining practical about it. I know several of you have talked about funding, and Keith has reiterated, as any good business advisor would, the importance of money. And if I would say also of really focusing on a strong business plan, making sure that it is realistic. Don't kind of create something just because you think banks are going to see it and look at your perfect scenario. You really want to think about what all the roadblocks in your way might be, as well as opportunities. But anyway, always have a good business plan, whether it's a brand new business or whether it's a new venture. I also did want to once again say I would love to hear back from any of you. I believe Jane put my contact information in the chat. I'm the project manager for COVID Business Recovery, here for all your COVID business needs. And I'm also going to put in the chat a class. Some of you talked about marketing. Got a great one tomorrow on affiliate marketing made simple. It will be at noon to 1, the lunch hour. So please come join us. You can also check the CWE Central Mass website. But really, just thank you, everybody. Keith, your final parting words?
Well, just thank you all for being a part of this and offering your unique stories and tips and bits of advice. So we really appreciate that. We're very, very, very pleased to have co-sponsored this with the Women's Center, Women's Center
for Women in Enterprise, Keith.
Thank you. Sorry, I got some marbles in my mouth at times. So and to work with Dawn, so that's been really great. There's a lot. I think there's a lot to unpack here, so I'm very excited to be able to see the recorded version of it, where I can kind of look through and pause things and take in consideration. But some of the takeaways I'm having is the importance of a unique experience. That providing a customer or clients with a unique experience. And that is a distinguishing characteristics, the importance of creative problem solving, especially in areas of disruption, the importance of doing your homework or doing research. Mark and I, who are meeting with folks, often get a version of Keith or Mark, help me sell what I want to offer. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to offer. Help me sell it. But basically try to help them see, well, okay, that's one thing, but what do people really want to buy? What do they want to buy? When do they want to buy? How do they want to buy it? And what price they want to buy it? That's not terribly exciting stuff, but it's critical in terms of in terms of success. Lastly, I'd just like to say the importance of MONEY, money. We have a lot of different values about it and importance of it. But bottom line, Mark and I work a lot with folks in understanding how to use money as a tool. And the idea is the better and more skilled you are using that money, the more likely you're going to be able to build things. So it's good to hear that. And oh, by the way, credit cards was mentioned. It's like the number 2 ways in which people initially finance their, that's sort of an underbelly. People don't like to talk a lot about it. Sometimes number 1 is actually the IRS. People delay paying the IRS, its taxes, or the Department of Revenue in the state. And that's one way in which they can able to sort of help, particularly in the early parts of their businesses, to get the money and cash flow. Anyway, thank you all for attending. We will be working on the recorded version, and we will get that out to you. Our goal is like in about a week, but please be patient with us. It's going to be a huge file, but it's very important. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.